I can actually hear Becky's hatred for you. That's how quiet it is.
It seeds through the house like a virus.
Yeah, I mean it's poignant, and I can feel it.
Coming
All
in
right.
tonight.
Who hit their mic?
I'm
was
gonna go
me.
with the man who's never struck the microphone.
I'm looking at that waveform, and it's gonna be a bitch to edit.
It's mic on mic violence.
Call it a quarantine miracle. Captain Technology didn't blame the microphone. He blamed himself.
Oh, there's no way the microphone could have moved in front of my arm when I was snapping.
I mean,
I can't stretch that much, man. I can't.
if you're hearing the logic espoused by many people floating out in the public right now, it could and it will happen.
That actually reminds me, because I mentioned it on our Facebook chat, but I wanted to bring it up here too. So I got an ad for Gaia.com that was talking about a 5G and its spread and how we need to stop it. And I'm like, ooh.
Well, it's because Bill Gates is putting things in the water. It's making the friggin' frogs gay, Michael.
We're not directly quoting the president on that. That is still supposition.
Well, that wasn't the president. So
It should have been.
it was. I'm having a complete stroke here. I can't remember his name.
Most of the people in that office are continually having a series of strokes, so it's passable.
Speaking of strokes, our governor, I almost said governator. He's not the governator. Has actually finally given local governments the authority to enforce masks as of an hour ago or so. So that's going to be fun to see people in Phoenix protesting over being forced to wear masks, because the Phoenix mayor has already said that she was going to do that. So
yeah, I'm sure all the incestuous families that come out with their wonky-eyed kin are really going to be a real threat. Speaking of masks, when you came into my job yesterday, and you were wearing a mask because you're responsible and you're a good person and you care about other people other than yourself.
Who talks shit about it?
Well, someone was saying something about a mask, and I made an offhand comment because we're friends, and I was like, "Oh, it's okay. It does you a lot of favors." And someone didn't know that we were friends, and they tried to chastise me. And they're like, "See, look at you. You're just such a dick." And I was like, "I'm sorry. Was I talking to you, or was I talking to someone that I'm actually friends with? You fuck."
Ooh, man, I wish I heard that. I would have definitely just been like, "Get him, Dad." Damn.
Yeah. Speaking of getting something, other than Corona,
Or AIDS.
by the Eternal, it's the Disinformed podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
Behold, I am Michael. For that introduction was thrown off. I was confused.
Oh, yeah. I was just so impressed that Shane reeled us in to, intro the show, because I don't pay attention to that. He's always the one. And then I only notice when the episode's ending and it hasn't happened.
It's a very, very fine point. I'm trying to
I
keep
should stop
myself on
recording?
task. So did I skip the behold? Is that what I...
Yeah, you usually say by the Eternal, and then
I know what I
behold,
usually say,
and then-
Michael. If I
yeah.
didn't say it, obviously...
Do you just want a 1, 2, 3 behold?
Sure.
Well, hold on.
I like it.
Let's just fuck this pig again.
Take it back.
We
Let's
want
take it
to
from
get
one.
it. And smaction by the Eternal. Behold.
Behold.
It's the Disinformed podcast.
Again.
I am still Shane.
I am still John.
I think, still Michael.
I was going to, if I weren't in such a rush to try to get this done today, I was going to beg that you cut in the Zoom audio from last week so that John can, treat everyone to what we had last week's intro of him saying, "If my face," and then I touch everyone.
Yeah, you would be so fortunate.
Did you upgrade your internet or something today? Because you haven't.
No, and now that you've addressed it, you've welcomed it into the house.
There, I knocked on hard wood there. So it's that
Keep
hard.
that
thing in your pants,
Wink.
Michael.
Yeah,
You
so
can't see my pants.
we'll see. This is my Saturday. I actually had a normal I actually have a schedule again. So I have 2 days off back to back, which I'm not used to. So I'm feeling relaxed.
Nice.
I don't know why I decided to mention that, But maybe that. Oh, I was gonna say that maybe that's why the internet's behaving, is because it knows that it's my weekend and it needs to behave for me on the weekends.
Oh, that's nice of your internet. That's very considerate. Do you have cocks?
Presently,
Multiple? Ooh.
yeah, I need to change my. I was talking to Becky about it. I need to change the name of our Wi-Fi, because when I first started dating her, when I came over here and you do the whole rigmarole when you're in a new place and you're getting the Wi-Fi password, she just had whatever it came out of the box as. So it was like the 28 letter
ABQR7HW579
for the route, or for the Wi-Fi and the password. So I did her the favor one day and I changed it. And at the time she only had 2 dogs, so I changed it to 2 dogs, 1 Deeble, because I thought that was funny. And it was funny. But now we're married and we have 3 dogs. So I'm thinking of calling it the house that Bus built, because that's the shorthand for our dog.
Not a bad call.
Yeah, I like that.
Also, so we have by the time this is out, the new single that we have will be out, Naloxone. But leading up to any release, and especially in COVID world, it's more important to,
these trying times.
May I offer you an egg in these trying times? It's very important to hit up any place that could help further promote it. So, radio and blogs. And Yab Yum has been just such a near and dear friend to us for a long time. So I messaged them yesterday, or emailed them. And on short notice, all they have available, and not all they have available, but the most immediate thing that they could help us do is a questionnaire that the whole band could answer. So I spent the hour before we jumped on to record right now kind of piecing everyone's answers together. This is a long setup to a callback to an earlier episode for us, and for a long-running Shane joke, and me joke too. But so Asher, he came out of his masturbation cave to actually answer the questions, and I didn't expect Asher to participate because he usually doesn't. Shane, am I wrong?
Right. No, you're right.
So when he messaged me like, "Hey, I'm sending it your way," and I got an email from him, I almost fell over.
It's staggering, without question.
However, I've kind of had to. I'm not going to. Okay, so the first and second question on the questionnaire are kind of redundant back to back. So I've kind of shorthanded them, where the answers for 1 and 2 are just on the second line. But for number 1, it kind of establishes who is on the questionnaire.
Yes.
But the question is, who are you, and are you in a band, or do you perform solo? If in a bands, what is the name of that band? I would like to read the answer that won't be published that Asher gave.
Okay.
Please.
I am hippie. I am not solo. My band's name is Blood Lube and the Gushing Grannies.
Wow, that's a good callback. That's all the way, like, I think the first, within the first 10 episodes or something like that.
Son of a bitch stole my joke.
It made me laugh harder than it had any right to.
It's marvelous.
He also he sent me an addendum text 30 minutes ago, and there's a question that revolves around if we could FaceTime or Zoom with anyone, who it would be. His answer is the Dalai Lama, and then he goes on to say that he doesn't know what FaceTime or Zoom is, but whatever. And then then he texts me back and he goes, "I'd also like to add that astral projection would be my preferred alternative to FaceTime or Zoom."
Oh god, the snark between these 2 trolls. This is how I have to live my life, as I have just got 2 people that never take anything seriously.
Hey, I took what is it, 12 questions? I took 11 out of 12 seriously.
Okay, I bless you for that.
What was the one that you didn't?
Oh, thank you for asking.
So you handed it to me on a silver platter. How could I refuse?
That same question, the FaceTime or Zoom. I said that if I could FaceTime or Zoom one person, it would be Norm Somerton. So pig tits. And then I went on to clarify that my safety, if he wasn't available, would be Conald Peterson, who also goes by the name Fed Smoker, who is a common thread on that YMH podcast. But
okay.
Yeah.
I can't hide my disgust. I truly can't.
I namely put Norm Somerton in there because I knew it would make you chuckle, but also make you want to slap me.
And also, it's going to cause people to research to try to determine who the hell Norm Somerton
to
is.
Which
to their
I
peril.
googled. Yeah, I googled Norm Somerton, and then the first thing that pops up is his Twitter.
Oh.
And in order to see his account is protected by a content block, so you have to.
You have to be
Quab.
very invested in order to see what you shouldn't see.
You literally have to click, like, yes, show me sensitive, or like I'm aware, like, essentially, I'm over 18 and I'm ready to see this.
And then you hit poutine, and there's no coming back.
Yeah, I think the
changed
first tweet, or his most recent tweet, is a retweet of his, and it's somebody participating in Findom. So it's literally I think it's a woman, or I don't know who's holding the camera, but they're holding the camera to an open door, and there's a man in a business suit with a wad of 20s, just like doing the fanning. God, why didn't I think of that?
Doing the fan.
I'm making the jerk off motion.
Hey,
you guys aren't getting it.
Well,
it's
yeah,
only
yeah.
fans right here. That's all we're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, he's fanning like the stack of 20s, and it looks like he's crying.
Now, John, would that be a fantasy?
It would be, actually.
I wanted to pounce on it before you could get to the bad puns. So.
I am back at work, so I have heard my fair share of bad puns. I don't remember exactly what I said to you over Instagram message yesterday, Shane, but I stand by it 100%. It was Shane and I were mutually agreeing on just letting the world end again.
Yeah, I have to say, I watched the Dave Chappelle 846 on YouTube.
That broke me down, and I sobbed like a little girl for a solid 40 minutes.
Yeah, I cried through the bulk of it by the time he started kind of getting emotional about it, and I would heartily recommend it to anybody who wants to just sort of get a palate cleanser for everything that's going on and bring everything kind of to a galvanized point. And that kind of got dogpiled on for me because someone that we know, and I'm not going to name call anybody here because it's not the platform and it's not appropriate for someone who's not here to sort of defend themselves.
Fair.
But someone we are associated with essentially posted something saying that all police are horrible human beings and just made the blanket statement. And I feel like I want to emphasize we want to rationally identify and respond to problems. And anytime that you speak in an absolute like that, and we have all talked about it in the same way that we want to be respectful and we want to be tolerant and understanding, and you do not fight fire with fire. So taking that same sort of bigoted perspective, because yes, there are bad apples in every single bunch, but I don't think that is the wisest statement to make right now. Particularly when you're trying to sort of like galvanize people towards a cause, and that's your rallying cry is let's dehumanize another group of individuals, just really struck me at the wrong way. And so what's important for me to emphasize, I listened to the Elvis Costello song on repeat, What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding.
Nice.
That has been my rallying cry. It's become sort of my anthem for this time because it really is. We've all sort of reduced to rancor and pointing fingers and really trying to call everybody up on the carpet. And I don't see how we're being productive. And you can't really cause anything to congeal. It's not productive.
Yeah, an interesting side to that. Yeah, Frank's got us covered here.
Yeah, he agrees.
He makes a good point.
Yeah, that a lot of the people that do make very harsh statements like that, and it's hard to represent a gray area on that without like it feeling diminished in its purpose.
Yeah.
I saw some post because there's a rallying cry to defund, which I am 120% on board with. But it's a group of people that on both sides that don't understand what defund means.
Right.
So in their heads, they're thinking that defund means like get rid of entirely.
The dissolution of police, right.
Whereas it's more just a balancing a budget, to put it like stupid simply. Like that's an oversimplification, but no, I agree mostly, with what you're saying, but I think that that's really important that inside of even a friend group, that we all have very unique approaches and takes.
Mm-hmm.
And the main difference between us and the Discord going, globally, is that we can have a civil conversation.
Right.
It's not like we could be a Christian and an atheist and we could meet in the middle. And, I have nothing really more to add. I just,
We're trying to be constructive, and that's really ultimately what we're angling for. And this point, and I mean, we can joke about our perspectives on Christianity or all of these other things, but I have never in my life wanted to throw as a blanket sweep that if you believe in God, you're an idiot. As we've talked about this, I respect people's beliefs and I understand. And so it's like, I think the whole point. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm remembering kind of what we were talking about, the t-shirt.
Yes.
But it's sarcasm, but it's a severe lack of empathy since 2003.
Yes. But I feel as though we can do a much better job of relating to one another by attempting to understand and really having thorough conversations and rationally responding to these things. It seems like all too often these days you have far too many people who are picking up random causes and running with them, because everyone needs the equal representation does need to happen, and I'm taking nothing away from that. And I also want to validate everybody's frustration and their anger, because all of it's really justified, and particularly with the Black community, I'm taking nothing away from anyone by saying this. I feel like there's a degree to which civility behooves us to keep, and that is also flying in the face of the fact that you also have someone in the White House who is essentially saying, hey, by the way, if anyone, doesn't want to adhere to what you're saying, let's create a police state and just beat everybody with martial law and fight them back into their homes, because that's the only way to do it. So I think it's just two really violent perspectives on how to meet in the middle, and all of the rational folks in between, the Oreo cream filling, are just trying to keep things functional. But, I agree, the movement needs to happen. And this nonviolent protest that, people have pointed to as having had no effect previously, and we might be able to just cut this whole thing out. This has been kind of something that
No.
It's okay. I know how to end it.
Yeah, because
I've been waiting for you to summarize so I can end it.
I'm working towards the idea that essentially just we're in a burning building right now. And the idea of all of this physical violence against unarmed Black men needs to be stopped. We need to cease that. And we can then address the other issues as we run through. But in the burning building metaphor, it's like someone running up with and going, well, we have to save the pots and pans. How are we going to cook in a week? And, listen, let's get everyone out of the building first and prevent further loss of life and injury, and stop making the problem worse, and then we can start to refine how we approach this and how we better reconstruct civility. And so I'm not saying, stop everything and stop pointing fingers, but when you start meeting hate with hate, it's not going to resolve anything well.
I think what you're trying to get at as well, taking the burning building thing, is focus.
Yes.
Where, and it's hard to do it just in any situation with emotion. You need to remain focused on the core problem, and you need to address it. You kind of need to like snowball effect, and that's what it is. Like you remove that one piece and it'll teeter down to the next and to the next and to the next. But the more irrational that you allow yourself to become, it's people getting themselves into a tizzy. It's kind of like watching Sam Camacho talk about food or dog treats, or I don't know, like she'll start talking about a subject and she gets really emotional and really passionate, and then it tangents off into something that is tangentially related but not directly related, and then it just kind of gets a little weird. Gets a little farther from the point than originally was intended. And I'm not saying that's 100% what's going on, but I'm seeing your point there. Michael, you were going to tell us about your unique. Didn't you have a sponsorship now, which me dildos?
What? No, I was going to summarize this conversation and try and use that as a segue into my next thing.
Jason Segel?
No. I mean, he's a great actor and all, but...
Is he?
No. To quote the great songwriters Gray, Maren Morris, and Zed, Why don't you just meet me in the middle? That's all I wanted to fucking say.
Well played.
I also wanted to say at the very beginning, only a Sith deals in absolutes, but then
Yes.
that conversation kind of got away from
But
that.
no, that
and-
is exactly the derivation here. Is I find we have a lot of danger in trying to make a blanket sweep with anything, and it is I can boil my philosophy of Star Wars. I think that is the most profound statement out of that entire series, and unfortunate that it comes from one of the prequels that is somewhat Drek.
Yeah.
It is
Hey,
only a
the
Sith
sequels are
deals
great.
in absolutes.
Hey, can
I
I
love
go,
trade deals.
Can I go ahead and put our vote for our After Dark topic or hypothetical that we do the Star Wars one?
What?
Well,
Okay.
the F Mary
that's-
kills we still
okay.
have to sort of relegate here.
Yeah,
Oh, I
the
thought the Star Wars one was a
it's fuck Mary
hypothetical.
kill. No, it's fuck Mary kill.
Yeah, that's
No, no, no.
yeah. It's a
Oh,
fuck Mary
okay.
kill topic.
I'm sorry.
Spat on my computer.
You're fine.
You see what happens when I try to pretend that I'm prepared?
You get all flustered and everything.
Well, and yeah, I didn't want to get too deep into this because we're not that podcast, and we've said this over and over again, but I feel like as this continues to ratchet up and you see all of this built up enmity and all the vitriol being thrown around by people, and I just don't feel like we're resolving anything. And here's the thing. My rationale for all of this and what kind of coalesced into a thought for me is everybody has been really frustrated by being indoors and impounded and not able to interact and go about our normal routines. And all of this happened to rise into this really disgusting climax when a really horrific series of events began to unfold. Those series of events revolved around violence against a group of people who have been subjected to almost nothing but for a significant amount of time. And what that did is it allowed us all an out to have something to be outraged against that we had a physical impact on. It was tangible, as opposed to a virus that we can't do anything against. And so I think it has channeled a lot of passions that would have otherwise been dispelled by other distractions into this section, and we're clinging to it because it's still something we can be mad at. Now, taking all of that away, these people are completely justified in being upset.
Completely. Yeah.
And I think all of us are dealing with that. That is a rational response. When we start resorting to things like saying you need, like, for instance, I'm finding out there are police officers who are having people like removing the lug nuts from their cars and putting poison in their food and serving it to them. So we're getting really horrific sort of acts of terrorism. And so I'm saying there are difficulties on both sides. I have my best friend from my youth is a police officer. So this is not me just rallying to the cause, because I've been around and I agree both sides need to stop and cognitively reframe how we approach this. But both sides are completely justified because police officers are just trying to show solidarity. They want to try to protect their friends. Unfortunately, or they're just trying to protect their department. It's the Night's Watch principle. It's just you got a collection of people that were all healed together from the worst walks of life who are trying to just get by here. And some of them are the Jon Snows who walk in and who really want to change things and do good things. And they're beaten back by the system more often than not. And the system is corrupt. You need to bring it down. That's what we're all pointing to. And
yeah, and
that's a good analogy there.
And as long as it comes back to that point, I feel like that's the most important. Is that system needs to be done away with. It needs to drastically change.
Yes, because it fosters people like that who are committing these acts, and it allows them to do that with impunity, and that can't continue.
It's in Chappelle's special.
Yes.
When he talks about I'm not going to remember the name off the top of my head because I was too emotionally fucking distraught by that point. I walked into that special already like on the edge, and then watched it like, all right, well let's see this, and I was like, oh, well that was like pouring gasoline like on an open fire. But yeah, no, I like those points, Shane.
It's, we're all, Melissa pointed out that we're humanists here. And all we're trying to do is make sure that everybody gets to get along, and that needs to be given in a greater proportion to the Black community that we can all agree on. And it just, when you start trying to take out individual police officers who you're seeing just because they're wearing a suit and they have a uniform on and you pick them out, it is the same sort of bigotry that sort of espouses the perspective that all Black people are criminals, is the same sort of individual who says all cops are horrible. and that's dangerous territory, and it's
again,
really unwise.
It's hard enough to put two people on opposing sides in a room together without them trying to kill each other.
Yep.
Where I see what you're saying, where the generalizations are being made, and it's harder again. And I don't think I completed the original thought that I had, where people are saying defund the police because it's a shorter way. It's the other way of saying it's too long, and you would get bored and you'd stop reading the message.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like the all cops are bastards or all cops are bad, where a majority of the people, I can't say that, the people that I interact with, they truly believe that most are, and they throw the generalization on there because inside of the system itself, the good cops either get smushed out by the system, or the good cops do nothing, which is almost worse.
Yeah.
Which is why I thought your Game of Thrones analogy with the Night's Watch was apt,
Jesus Christ!
Considering that a lot of people that become cops aren't necessarily the kind of people that we want to be cops.
Yes.
And I won't say generalization, that's everyone, but there are a good number of people that are like that, and it's almost like cold from it's like the Night's Watch in that case, and that even the repression of people that want to turn it into more of a noble thing, like Jon Snow. I'm referencing the books, not the show.
Okay,
nerd. It ended with him getting
spoilers.
Jumped and shanked. If you haven't watched the show or read the books, you're probably not going to do either of those now.
All right, guys, let's all team up on Michael here for a second.
Oh my God! I'd say one fucking thing.
Let's turn our rage in the
you know what?
direction.
All right, I'm gonna divert it into a whole nother topic.
I thought you said you were gonna disconnect. I was like, Jesus, is this the episode that we finally push that button?
No. I honestly don't know what it would take for me to be like, fuck it, I'm out.
Hey Shane, we have a goal.
If you get there, I would applaud you right before I hit disconnect.
Would we name it "Everyone Hates Michael"?
I mean, isn't that the name of this podcast?
Actually, I think we would call it Mic Drop. Now, here's the thing. I apologize that we got that far afield. I didn't intend to, and I just feel like a little love and understanding goes a long way with all of us. So give whoever you're with right now, if they're wearing a mask and you feel comfortable, give them a hug. Remind everybody that they're worthwhile individuals, that we all can deserve a little compassion and a little understanding right now, and I think that's going to go a long way towards making us feel a little less hostile.
I can behold that.
Behold.
So, John, you were saying?
Oh, I'm going to get drastically off topic here before I know you have something to talk about.
I do.
Let's call it on this installment of ways I torment my wife until she inevitably leaves me forever.
Ooh, okay. All right. I like it.
I don't know why it's gotten into my head. Maybe I'm doing this because I'm trying to like crowdsource like some new ways to be effective here, but I've picked one thing to make fun of her about. Like to make... Anyway, I don't know why. Weird bug crawled up my ass. I'm from a big family. We know how to nitpick and annoy each other, and I've been telling Becky that she has tiny knees and asking her like how she gets by on her day-to-day life with her tiny knees. And I highly recommend to anyone who's in a long-term relationship to find something innocent. Unless they actually do have fucked up knees, like then don't make fun of their knees. Like that's not funny. But
well, then that wouldn't fall under your innocent category.
But what I'm saying is, find something that you know isn't like a sensitive or a sore spot, and just really go hard, because it has brought me nothing but joy. And now, I'll if she's relaxing on the couch, I'll take a quick picture of her knee and I'll send it to her, and I'll be like, "What do you even do with these? How do your legs not crumble when you stand up?" I made some comment. She was walking up the stairs, and I was like, "Oh my god, you're doing so good!" And I was on mic with Asher. And so he's in on it now. So I sent him a picture of her knees, and there's a laptop on her, right in her knees. He goes, "My God, how does that laptop not break through those things?"
What the fuck?
So on this episode of Spawning a Troll.
Oh my God, yeah, you guys, Jesus Christ, I don't even know that I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I just
died in the wool, sir.
Jesus.
It's the first step. It's the gateway.
Man, I just really want to go say some insensitive things to people on online chat rooms.
No,
Well.
fight the temptation.
As long as you say that you love them at the end of it, John, you'll be fine.
Either that or they'll call me Christialia.
So anyway,
That's
I
a
have a
deep
little
cut.
I have a little thing I want to introduce before we get into the actual
Do it.
topic.
Your dick?
The I've already introduced that. I can't reintroduce it, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't
You're
feel I
fine.
made its acquaintance, Michael, so...
I had an idea based off a new podcast I started listening to called The Worst Year Ever, which talks about a lot of kind of the stuff that we talked about earlier and some other things. The last thing I had heard was an episode that talked about COVID in prison, so that was genuinely great to hear.
Uplifting.
Lighthearted.
Yes. But they always start off the episode by talking about what like a national day it is, like National Donut Day or something like that.
Ugh.
And so I looked it up. Yeah, I know. But I wanted to make it a little funny because they always find the most preposterous things. So I figured, why not do a national day that we record and the national day that it comes out? And I make one of those a lie, and you quickly have to find out which one it is. So I will say what the day it is, and then I will say a little blurb about it, pretty much like how it started or
So you're
something
doing 3?
like that. Just 2.
Okay.
The day we record and the day that it airs. 1 + 1 is 2.
You might need to explain that to him again.
Listen, I don't understand you, and I won't respect it.
Okay, that's fine. So today, the day that we record, Wednesday, June 17th, is Global Garbage Man Day. A John D. Atwood was his name, founded National Garbage Man Day in 2011 to honor the men and women who work hard in the industry to keep communities safe and clean. Recognizing efforts around the world, the celebration became Global Garbage Man Day. And the day that this episode airs, Monday, June 22nd, is quite funny that you actually put it out there and we talked about it. National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Several organizations, which I didn't really want to write down because it was a long bullet list, came together to create National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day this year to thank officers across the community for all their daily sacrifices that they make for their communities.
I'm calling bullshit on the officer appreciation.
Yeah.
If we didn't have that whole conversation
No,
about cops,
you didn't put any factoids in about who created it, how it was spawned. It's just
Oh,
a throwaway.
it was-
And
it
also,
was
you
like a
said
bunch-
the word. You said the word bullets.
What? Oh, come off it. I didn't write that part. There was like a bunch of police unions that I didn't want to list. It is, you're right though. It isn't, June 22nd isn't National Law Enforcement Day.
Okay.
LED, which is what it's short for, Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. which is
Fuck me.
Jesus
Yes, it's-
Christ.
actually celebrated on January 9th. And instead of it being created this year, it was started in 2015.
The least apt acronym for any real appreciation.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate.
Yes. But today, as of recording, is Global Garbage Man Day. So being socially cognizant, thank your garbage man.
It's akin to saying
What
like
if I'm
the
trash?
Then thank the person that takes you out.
I will.
That's it.
But that's all. If people are interested in it, I'll do that again and again.
What people are you trying to reach, Michael? Because we do this in an
YouTube.
echo chamber.
You two. That was fun, right?
YouTube?
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I had a blast.
I'm on the edge
As
of my
did
seat.
Those who are going to eat lead.
Again, edge of my seat.
Oh boy.
That's just the hemorrhoids, John. I mean, if
You
you
are-
told Becky to go easy with the pegging, you would be able to sit much easier.
I can't sleep unless I'm in pain.
We need to be sponsored by Preparation H. I've
If
mentioned
only.
that in a previous episode.
Yes, we don't want to talk about either of your assholes anymore, gentlemen. Well,
Fine.
are we ready for a topic?
I guess.
Are you ready for some
I'm as
football?
ready as I'll ever be.
A Monday air party, as it were. So, what we do here on the Disinformed podcast, and what we are very likely going to start doing again on a weekly basis, is we are going to delve into an obscure esoteric topic, and whilst explaining that topic to the two co-hosts and you, the lovely listeners, we're going to lie about it somewhat. And it is going to be occasional. The entire thing won't be a lie. But while we are retelling the story of the material, I keep looking at the camera like we're on the YouTube channel.
Why are you staring at me?
It's a habit. I just can't help it.
Because you know how to turn me on.
Mm-hmm. You play to the camera, gentlemen. That's what any good television production company would tell you. So, whilst explaining, the co-hosts then have to try to ferret those lies out and call them, as we just did for, National Garbage Day or LED. So,
National Garbage Man Day. We're not celebrating garbage. We're celebrating the men
garbage
people that take it out.
Garbage people, please.
If we were talking about those, I have a few singer-songwriters I can throw into the mix.
Are they from Hawaii?
Oof.
Hey, if only. It's the only way they're going to get laid, I'll tell you that much.
I don't get the reference, and I refuse to ask.
That's not the only thing you don't get.
I think it'll be an off-air. Yeah.
So,
okay.
I have several. I'm trying to, and you guys can help me determine what we want to call this once we get here. It's either the thing that spurred the research for me, Blood Atonement, which is a wonderful episode title, or Christ's Mafia.
I like it.
AKA The True Godfather.
Ooh. I just think
so.
Christ Mafia.
Yeah, Christ Mafia.
No parenthetical.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining. So, what we're talking about today, gentlemen, is the Church of the Firstborn of the Lamb of God, which is also known as the Church of the Lamb of God, which is a violent Latter-day Saint group founded by Ervil LeBaron that is responsible for dozens of deaths over 2 decades. After his death, it was subsequently taken over and headed by his sons. I will also tell you up front that there is one lie in this particular segment.
Excellent.
Just to make it as difficult as humanly possible.
Okay.
So, I'm going to I'll do the paraphrasing as much as possible here. But so, when Joseph Smith founded the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the LDS movement, Benjamin F. Johnson was one of his earliest followers and an early adopter of the faith. Johnson followed the church teaching, and he practiced polygamy, taking multiple wives. I'm sure that you're all semi-familiar, but the idea is that the LDS Church had initially indicated that polygamy was okay. They later denied this in the Doctrine and Covenants, and then it was also later abolished in the end of the 1860s, I think. And so it's a long topic. You can look that up on your own, doing your own research.
It is exhaustive. Yeah.
It is a lengthy discussion.
You also mentioned at least some of the reasons, like in a very offhanded comment a couple of episodes ago as well. So.
Right. So, and that was kind of the whitewashing of it, pardon the pun, for those that are kind of the apologists for the fact that polygamy was a commonly held belief. But, so I say this to lead into, when the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints renounced polygamy, Johnson and his family, like many fundamentalist Mormons, continued the practice. In 1924, Johnson's grandson, Alma Dayer LeBaron Sr., and that's Alma is a man in this instance, moved his family to Mexico, where the government showed no interest in prosecuting polygamists. They settled near Colonia Juarez, Chihuahua.
You said it was 1924?
1924.
Okay, so it was around the time that they were suffering their civil war and stuff.
Mm.
I know a little bit about it because I ran like a D&D campaign that was set around that time.
I'm intrigued.
I can tell you about it later if you really want to know.
Mormons and dragons. I'm very interested in running around with
of
you.
Mormon and men. Yeah.
Yes. Tell me about the wives again, Lenny. So, Alma Dayer believed that Johnson was the rightful successor to Joseph Smith and that Johnson had appointed Alma, his son, to succeed him. And after Alma's death, several of his own sons claimed to be his true successor in leadership of this faith. So they believe that the Mormon Church was essentially passed down this line, and that Smith, in spite of the fact that he was martyred, would have approved of them, running with this as their offshoot and tangent.
Right.
Makes sense? As with everybody, it's always the self-appointed ones that you need to start getting a little alarmed by. So in 1955, Alma's son Joel founded the Church of the Firstborn of the Fullness of Times, the abridged version apparently, and named himself the president. His brother Ervil became the second in command, with full authority over their new settlement known as Colonia LeBaron. A third brother, Varlin, also held a high position in the church. By 1967, tensions had begun to rise between Joel and Ervil. Ervil began advocating for the return of the former Mormon principle of blood atonement. Blood atonement, for the uninitiated, essentially indicates that a sinner must have their blood shed in order for them to secure a place in heaven, as some sins are so grievous that they are even beyond the atonement of Christ to cleanse. So apostasy would be an easy one. So if you deny the church, they would then have to shed your blood in order to stop you from being damned for the remainder of your existence, essentially.
That's pretty fucking metal.
It's a lot of fun. And in particular, in my research, I discovered that execution by firing squad and decapitation were both things that were allowed in the state of Utah for any crimes that were considered grievous enough to possibly warrant blood atonement.
So which one would you guys prefer?
That would be even more metal.
I mean,
like if they told you like, hey, you're like, it's gonna happen, you have to choose one of these two things.
If I was allowed to choose the manner of my decapitation, I would think that would probably be instantaneous. If you throw me on a guillotine and just let it separate my head from my shoulders, I'd probably be down for that.
I would agree. Like if you could like make sure that like at least if it was a big blade that it was sharpened and not dull.
Not someone taking a hacksaw to the back of my neck.
What fucking movie was that in? You know what I'm talking about, where he tries to decapitate and it takes him like seven swings to get through it?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't for the life of me remember it, and I'm not going to force future me to look it up.
There is a segment of Game of Thrones, if I recall, where he attempts to cut his head off.
Okay.
It's Mr.
Theon
Dickless.
Greyjoy.
Yeah, Theon.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Game
of
Thrones.
That was also in the books.
Hey,
yeah,
we're on topic today.
What was it? No, actually, guillotines, and future me is going to look this up because I've read about this before. Even though you have your head cut off, you still have a good couple minutes before you actually like lose consciousness from the lack of blood. And now future me has to research this. I had read that there was a scientist that was condemned to die during the French Revolution, and he was like, I'm going to do an experiment about this. So he asked the executioner, he brought his scientist friends, when you cut off my head, bring my head to my friends. I will keep blinking at them until I can't anymore.
Sorry.
And so, I can't remember the exact numbers, so I'm just going to rough ball it, and future me will have it in the show notes. He blinked for about a couple minutes or something like that.
Do you... sorry.
Yeah. It's the same thing as if you lose all the oxygen in your like if you get suffocated or something like that. It's
there's a Stephen King short story called The Breathing Method, where a mother who is going in to give birth gets in a car accident and she is decapitated, and her head is still basically whispering to the doctor compliance in him trying to help her give birth to the baby.
Jesus.
What the fuck?
So
okay, yours is more fucked up than mine.
Yeah, that's how crazy Stephen King can get when he decides to. And maybe that was Coke King.
Maybe that was Coke King.
Hashtag Coke King.
Mine is what I imagine, like, when you're telling that story, Michael, visually I see Hector Salamanca, how all he can do is communicate with his eyes, essentially. Like, I mean, he rings his little bell, but I mean, if he was decapitated and you're like, I'm gonna blink at my friends, it's just Hector Salamanca's fucking face, just this would have been great to have a video of.
Trembly lipped,
maybe I'll
one-eyed staring.
One of you remind me, or Michael, You're a robot. Or remind me about let's see, an hour to have Shane make that face on After Dark. You're
done.
Good.
I've already forgotten what you've asked me to do.
Good bot. All right. Anyway, Shane, you're saying.
All right. So, now that we're back to that, essentially the practice required the death penalty specifically for actions deemed crimes by Ervil. So, he's not even technically the head of the church, but he's decided, I'm going to enforce this rule of blood atonement for anybody who pisses me off.
Makes sense.
I'm shaking my head for the listeners.
Yes, this
here.
bodes very well for everyone who may fly afoul of Ervil.
Capital oof.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Bruh.
Joel refused to allow the practice into the church teachings. Subsequently, the brothers argued about the fate of their second Mexican colony, a ranch known as Los Molinos in Baja California, Mexico. Joel intended the land to support future church recruits. Ervil wanted to develop the land as a resort.
Is that
that's
bullshit?
a good little A, little B.
That is not bullshit.
Okay.
I believe it. I mean, Cabo is beautiful all times of year, so yeah.
Now, by the late 1960s, Ervil LeBaron began preaching against his brother Joel, accusing him of crimes against their faith. Considering Joel is the one who functionally founded this thing, but of course it's based on Mormonism, but it is a pretty virulent deviation from the core teachings, I can assure you.
I feel that if this was, I feel like if The Righteous Gemstones was an anthology series, that the next season of the show could be between these two.
You
That
would
be
be
interesting.
shocked how close you are. So
That was the first thing that popped in my head.
Ervil, proclaiming he was the true successor to his father, began the Church of the Firstborn Lamb of God, subsequently naming himself president. So we now have two brothers who are the heads of two separate churches.
No, I want to be president. Mom
Also,
said I can be president.
It's so fucked up. Like every time you say Lamb of God, I just start hearing riffs in my head because I like terrible things.
This is the most metal Mormon church that you are ever going to encounter, I can guarantee. So a clutch of Joel's devout followers switched their allegiance to Ervil.
Is that the name of a group of the LDS?
No.
A clutch?
Oh,
No, I don't.
is that what you call like a group of like three or more? Is a clutch of Mormons?
It's an adjective I have decided to apply, but yes, let's go with that. So,
I can we make that canon?
yes. Done
Okay,
and done.
cool.
I ran
Done.
from a clutch of missionaries the other day.
Oh no,
Brother Hunt!
they're multiplying.
So, in 1972, as we flash forward, Ervil orchestrated the murder of his brother, the first victim of the blood atonement policy.
What did they do to him?
One of the assassins, Daniel Ben Jordan, was later arrested for the murder, but he was released when witnesses were too afraid to testify against him. The other killer, Gamaliel Rios, remained free. So he got so upset at his brother that he's like, hey, two of you, God told me it's fine, and I have the ability to decree this, so go kill my brother. Because he's basically committing apostasy to my church by claiming he leads this other church, so we need to whack him. And they do it.
Damn.
How did they do it?
It
it
didn't
say?
specify, unfortunately.
Sorry, you
I
got
don't
me
think
all
they
excited
were,
with decapitation and
I don't think they were
firing
going for gore. So, I mean, you can speculate as to how they killed them. How would you kill
Oh,
them?
I'm speculating.
squad. Probably with a ham sandwich.
Yes, the Mama Cass method.
I'm gonna go with.
Castration, as it were.
I don't know. The only thing every time I picture assassinations in Mexico, I actually picture Trotsky. Who was,
Diarrhea?
no,
Bless
he was
you.
assassinated with an ice pick.
Oh, I thought you meant
was
someone
like-
getting the Trotskys. You know, like they had
No,
bad
no,
beans,
no,
they drank
no,
the water,
no.
Montezuma's revenge. Trotsky.
Ah, ha 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 ha! You funny. Oh,
well,
You're
wow,
racist.
that's racist.
what?
How terrible.
No,
The
I'm
Asian
like,
community is very upset at you right now, Michael. And
What? You're the one that just like immediately
John,
jumped on
I think
that.
the both of us jumped on that.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're.
Oh, so he's
Man.
ignorant on top of it. Great.
Well, we've known this for quite some
Ignorant?
time. You ignorant. So,
This is so problematic. Cut it.
yeah, it's going to be a very interesting episode this week, I'm afraid. So,
Jeezums.
now with his brother Joel dispatched, much to Ervil's surprise, Joel's followers did not flock to his side. Instead, they advocated for his arrest.
Weird, because he really thought that God was going to have his back on this one.
I mean, you would think he's just like, hey, listen, I'm a despotic ruler of this religion. This has worked really well for people over in Europe for generations of just calling for people's decapitations. Why wouldn't you follow me? I'm obviously the perfect deity for you to follow. So, he was convicted of planning the murder, but freed a year later by an appellate court. While he was imprisoned, Ervil continued to release pamphlets and books insisting that he was the Mormon one mighty and strong, and that as God's representative on earth, he could decide who should die for their sins.
He also released several pamphlets on acceptable haircuts and where not to pee on cross-country road trips.
That's very informative. I think that would be much better, actually. I could.
I want to believe that he would have to realize they're not all going to be winners, so he needs to get some of the fluff out and have some just off-topic pamphlets.
Just wants to overwhelm them with quantity.
Yeah, he wants to Santo Gold them.
Yes. This is the appropriate method for constructing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Crusts are not acceptable by the Church of the Firstborn of the Lamb of God.
I need to call bullshit at least for one thing.
Okay.
Was it true that he wrote?
Yes.
Yeah, he wrote pamphlets.
Yes.
Okay.
He continued to, and the pamphlets are going to get more fun as we proceed down this rabbit hole.
I knew it. You can't just write one pamphlet. It's an addicting thing, especially once you have a template and a format. It's addicting.
It's like Pringles. Once you pop, you just can't stop.
Right?
He was most interested upon his release in executing his brother Varlin, who Joel's followers had elected as their new leader.
I'm sorry, did I miss a third brother?
Yes, is the third brother earlier they allude
Okay,
to.
I'm sorry. All right.
Yeah, you're fine. Trust me, it's a lot to try to keep track of, and this is kind of the young and the restless version of religion, so it's going to get a lot muddier before it gets cleared up.
It's old enough that your grandfather still remembers it.
Indeed. And he was so old that they didn't have history in school when he was a kid. So Varlin was kind of the unanointed third party in all of this, when the other two brothers were kind of in the upper echelons of creating all of this theology. That he was kind of just floating in the background. But I'm a little more agog at the fact that all of these people, when given all of these options, as this church has begun to crumble into people committing fratricide, are going, well, let's bring the other brother in. Varlin's a nice boy.
He'll be cool. Yeah, he'll work.
I trust Varlin.
They can't all be bad.
Indeed. So, fearing for his life, Varlin then went into hiding. In an effort to flush him out, on December 26th, 1974, Ervil's underage 13th wife, Rena Chenoweth, and her brothers, Mark and Dwayne, raided Los Molinos, which was the other established enclave that they had.
Okay. Bullshit on 13th wife?
No.
Lucky
Not
13.
Bullshit on brothers.
All correct.
All right, so we're getting a little slap happy, but I will say, again, lucky 13.
Indeed. She was 13 squared at this point.
Jesus.
Since she was underage. I don't know how underage she was.
I thought you were going to say she was 13, and I'm like...
It's possible. You don't know.
That's
best
true.
not to ask...
Gentlemen...
To quote Game of Thrones, once they start bleeding, then they can start breeding.
Michael, you are being so problematic today.
If you guys are calling bullshits on this, wait until we get outlandish, because I haven't even started yet.
Do they fight on the moon? Do the Mormons have a moon base?
They have time travel things that they got, and they are now chasing Thanos through the cosmos.
I still haven't seen that movie.
They have a T-Rex.
So.
They have a T-Rex. So, Rena and her brothers, Mark and Dwayne, began to pelt firebombs at houses and shot residents, killing 2 young men and injuring 13, all in their attempt to track down Varlin. They failed in this goal, however, because Varlin had just moved his family out of the colony to Nicaragua. Ervil was then arrested for masterminding the raid, but was released due to lack of evidence.
What?
So these folks are protecting one another on top of it's just like, listen, we're so crazy in here that we can't get any worse, so don't tell anybody. Let's just, buckle down. We're going to get through this. The firebombs will stop at some point.
Oh my gosh.
So, increasingly upset by the violence, Noemi Zarate, a wife of Bud Chenoweth, who's the father of two of Ervil's wives, and here's where we start delineating, and I'm going to cut down on some of this, but she threatened...
And they begat...
Yes, I know. So she threatened to leave and go to the police. On Ervil's orders, his 10th wife, Vonda White, drove Zarate into the desert and killed her. Her body has never been found.
What?
So this man has just created like a Kill Bill's, like Death Crew 5 of wives here. And anybody he needs to tap out, he just, says like, hey, honey, go kill him.
When you said that that lady's name, I thought Vanna White from Wheel of Fortune.
Also, do you think that instead of actually remembering his wives' names, that he just calls them numerically?
I mean, it's possible.
It's like, hey, 10... Can you go kill this person? 11's a little busy with the chore or the house cleaning today.
Lucky number 7's cleaning the toilets, so I'm afraid you're stuck with killing my enemies today.
And number 2 overdosed on Ambien, and I don't know when she's gonna wake up.
It's on the chore chart. You are you're supposed to do the killing today.
Spinny wheel.
You're the angel of death today, honey. Congratulations.
See, it's Monday. Okay, number 10 does the killing.
Yeah, and it's the little like black square that has like the Grim Reaper inside of it.
Oh, I killed someone last week.
You're the wife of mayhem.
Quit your bitching or I'm going to spin the wheel again. So, Ervil LeBaron then moved his family to San Diego, because everybody's jacking it in San Diego. He wrote letters to and visited many polygamist leaders, threatening their lives if they did not switch their allegiance to the Church of the Lamb of God and tithe accordingly. So this is quite literally the Mafia families of Mormonism.
It could be a Sons of Anarchy thing too. I said the Ladies of Mayhem, but I watched most of the pilot again because you talked about rewatching it, and I'll dive further in. But yeah, this could be if the Mayans get a spinoff, then
yes,
then I feel like they need their own series too.
The Lambs,
sure,
Lambs of Anarchy.
Robert Simmons, who was the leader of a small polygamist sect in Utah, denounced Ervil after learning that Ervil wanted to marry one of Simons's wives.
Is there a relation to Gene Simmons?
It's
somewhere
Simons,
in there.
But,
So,
hey, Michael, you tried for once, and that's all that matters.
That's still a D for
just
effort.
lick it up, sir.
I guess I'm clean.
And of course, I love that it's like he doesn't have enough wives. Now he's coveting other people's wives. He's going, hey, listen, I lead this church. I'll take whatever I want. Now give me that.
I covet.
Give me that thing.
Oh.
And the guy's like, no, you can't have one of my wives. I like my wives. These are my wives, not your wives. He goes, kill them. Sure enough, they do. So he was killed in April of 1975 by Mark Chenoweth and Eddie Marston on Ervil's orders. So this man is calling in hits like he's running, the heroin trade in South Baltimore right now. It's scary. That same year, another of his followers, Dean Vest, prepared to leave the group. Ervil was already angry at Vest for refusing to sell a houseboat that he owned and tithe half of the proceeds to the church. The Wikipedia article says cult. I am, cognitively reframing to avoid,
because I was, especially during this little chunk here, in the back of my head, I was like, okay, so we can call Heaven's Gate a cult because it was a cult, but then we talk about things like this that are so closely mirrored to cult behavior, but we can't just call it what it is.
Oh yeah, it's a cult. Every fundamentalist Mormon church, essentially, and there are those who claim the Mormon church is a cult as well. Just depends on your perspective. But yeah, I mean, you can call any organized religion a cult at some point. It just
also
happens
agreed.
to be one of those bloodthirsty ones. So he wouldn't sell that boat, and so that got Ervil all upset at him. And so he says, well, listen, I'm gonna leave the church. I don't want to deal with this. I'm gonna take my boat and go elsewhere. And so then Ervil tells his 10th wife, Vonda White, to execute him, and she kills him in his kitchen, or in her kitchen, actually.
Not on the boat?
No,
Man,
not
that
on the
would've been
boat,
way more
unfortunately.
cinematic.
No, because then you'd have to clean the boat. Yeah,
They're horrible
No.
criminals. They are not organized at all. This is,
That poor 10th wife. She keeps getting that wrong spin.
Yep.
13 keeps spinning like a motherfucker, though.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
those are the angels of death of the group. The rest of them must be, just sort of, if this is the Manson family, we got Twiggy, who's very well established already, so we just got to find the others. All right, so she was later convicted of this murder, and Ervil told her that with this murder, she had ensured her presence in heaven.
What circle?
I guess the 7th at this, or the 10th, according to her number and ranking.
Right.
So in 77, he also ordered the death of his own pregnant teenage daughter. Yes.
Which wife was that? Or do they not do that?
It was the his daughter. She was Rebecca, the wife of Mark Chenoweth. I believe she is Delphina is the mother.
It's actually a pretty name.
Oh, so she wasn't one of his wives as well. We're not talking about a Craster from Game of Thrones, because I'm just going to keep using Game of Thrones.
He was not impregnating his own daughters.
So he's not trying to breed oracles like in Midsummer?
Thankfully not.
Ooh, good reference there. Tasty.
Let's all put our flowers on and dance about like gilly flowers falling in the wind.
I am a leaf on the wind.
Her only crime, Rebecca, had been separated from her toddler. And I'm not entirely certain as to why she was, but Ervil separated the two of them. And she said, listen, give me my son back and let me have him, or I'm going to go to the police and tell them what you're up to, murder dad. And he said, well, fine, I'll just kill you instead. And so he killed her, put her into the trunk of his car, and drove around with her for the entirety of the day.
As you were wont to do.
He actually made jokes while he was doing this as well, because people had said, like, oh, your car's riding a little low in the back. He said, oh, yeah, it's just Rebecca.
What is he? Did Jodi Arias get inspiration from him?
Capital oof.
You would assume. I mean, someone had to be reading from this playbook, but yeah, this is a horrendous human being. And if nothing else has proven it, this is kind of the line where you start getting to.
Man, it starts with making fun of someone's tiny knees, and then before you know it.
Why you gotta be so needy?
Just oof.
Shit, thank you.
Bruh.
So now, her mother, Rebecca's mother, Ervil's first wife, Delphina, discovered that her daughter had been murdered on the orders of her husband, and she strongly objected. Understatement of the fucking century.
Can you not kill my daughters, please?
Yes, could you please stop killing our children? I know we have 40 of them.
And if you absolutely have to, here's my my list of favorite to least favorite.
You joke? Wait.
No!
So then another of her daughters, Lillian, who is also married to Mark Chenoweth, so both the daughter Rebecca that was killed and this one were both married to the same guy.
Fuck, I hate my brain.
The math on this is just staggering. It's really like it exponentially increases because you've got multiple wives with every guy. So it's a laundry list of characters that Game of Thrones would be envious of. So long story short, Lillian had warned her that if she didn't settle down, she told her own mother, if you don't settle down and leave this alone and just accept that Rebecca's dead, the same thing might happen to you because you could be marked for blood atonement. So this is how deep the well goes. The children are so indoctrinated, they're threatening their mothers of like, just shut up and take it because our dad is God and we don't dare defy him.
And also, God said to clean the fucking toilet and not have us do it. Thanks.
Stop spinning the wheel.
It's your fucking day. Damn it.
Play it as it lies.
You spun it on that. You spun it on the chore sheet.
I had to poison Rebecca. You can clean the fucking toilet. Play it as the wheel tells it.
And this is really grim, and I know we're making light of this, so we're not attempting to offend anybody, but this is the only way we can muscle through topics like this, is just to laugh at them. So we appreciate that you've stuck with us thus far. But as John mentioned in the last episode, if you're looking for a trigger warning, care, or concern, we are too insensitive to give you them. So if you delight in death like the rest of us, saddle up. Otherwise, get the fuck out of here.
I was gonna say the same thing. Well, if you don't like it, we can always just organize your death. Anyway,
And you've made the
so
list.
you were saying, oof,
Ervil's coming for you.
Atone.
uh-oh.
Believing that her son-in-law and daughter were subsequently preparing to murder her, Delphina and her youngest daughter snuck out of Lillian's house and fled to Mexico. So San Diego has started to up everybody's quota here, it seems. Ervil, at this point, had still not managed to shake himself free of the notion that he needed to kill his other brother. He's been on the run, he's been hiding, he hasn't done a damn thing, he's not trying to claim the church, but that's just a burr in his saddle he cannot let abide.
You ever just seen someone's face and you're just like, fuck that guy?
I'm on the call with him, so I mean...
What?
Ouch! You could have just said that to my face.
I wasn't talking about you, so...
Oh!
I am worthy.
Oh.
Ooh, worthy the claw. Get away from me, you zealots. Anyway, so he hatched a plan to flush Varlin out of hiding, because we've got to get him out of the way. We can't have any other brothers that can pick up the mantle and run. So he then convinces his now 18-year-old wife, Lucky 13, Raina Chenoweth, and his stepdaughter, Ramona Marston, who is a wife of Daniel Jordan, to kill Rulin C. Allred, the leader of the Apostolic United Brethren, who's another one of the largest polygamist sects. 3 of his followers, including Ramon's brother Ed, attended the funeral after they had killed this gentleman in order to see whether Varlin would attend and kill him when he arrived.
That's gangster as fuck. Killing some, pretty much an NPC just to see if your target would show up to his funeral.
I mean,
damn,
it
man.
is really very Mafia, because again, it's like, hey, worst case scenario, we just lost the head of another sect that is in defiance of my will, but if we can get Verlin as a twofer, this is like the plot of True Detective Season 1 happening here, just manifesting right before our very eyes.
I feel like the to kill 2 birds with 1 stone is too apt of a metaphor there.
Yes, it's appropriate. All right.
Or analogy? Simile?
They aborted the mission, of course, when they realized that police were stationed all around the funeral to protect the mourners. Because when you're in a freaking Swedish metal band death cult here...
Yeah, I was going to say, it's almost like you've drawn a lot of attention to yourself.
Wink. So... Ervil was later captured in Mexico, tried, and convicted in the United States for planning Allred's murder. So that was the one bite too many. They finally said, okay, now you're just killing other people at random that are outside of your own crazy sect of nonsense. We can't have that.
He was extradited? Usually when they get arrested in Mexico, Mexico doesn't extradite to...
I mean, technically he was a resident of San Diego at the time, and so they may have just sent, like a bounty hunter across to catch him and bring him back over. And we all know how difficult it is to get across the border into Arizona. The Sinaloa cartel and their heroin trade will tell you all about that.
Ooh-wee.
Speaking of which, they also play a factor in. So the most recent story I've read about this was from 2019. And members of the Sinaloa cartel killed members of the LeBaron family coming into Chihuahua, and they killed a group of 8 children.
What the fuck?
And their family, they were coming back for a wedding in Mexico, and the cartel members killed them. They actually waited until they were out of the car. They caused the car to combust. They shot the car and it exploded. The kids crawled out and they shot them. So as bad as all this nonsense is, the cartel folks are even better. So, I mean, a lot of this took place in Mexico lends a little more credence because this stuff seems to happen almost, every other week.
Well, that was lighthearted. Thanks, Shane.
Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to get too ghastly here, but it's like...
Thanks for that aside there. That was
all fun and games when we're spinning the wheels until you're putting a bullet in the brains of 8 children.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, that must be a very small sliver in the to-do chore chart. Oh, gotta kill children.
Well, that was cartels.
The younglings,
Yeah, the
too.
cartels, they don't use a wheel.
Right.
They just do it. So.
Yeah, they do it.
The men, women, and children, too.
Just for the taste of it. So...
Sorry, I had to do that.
While he was incarcerated in Utah, he continued to write testaments for his followers.
Of course he fucking did.
Here's a pamphlet for you, John. One of these, the Book of New Covenants, contained a list of 50 people that Ervil marked for blood atonement. So he published a hit list of like, hey, listen, I'm in here and I can't do anything, but you people need to roll these fools.
Did he publish it in the order of the lengths of the socks that they wore?
No, I don't believe so.
He's like, so
Bullshit, he did.
So this one wears the tallest socks. He goes first, and so on and so forth.
I'm sure it was something similarly arbitrary, like who liked pickles on their hamburgers, but
Also, this
who
guy has a
knows?
mole on his nose, and I fucking hate it.
It's like, come on, man, get that treated already. Like, it's not
We
good
have
for your
the
skin.
god blood money. Just fucking take care of it.
And by the way, Jeffrey, he chews with his mouth open at the table. Kill that motherfucker.
Yeah, he sneezed in 13's mouth
inconsiderate.
once, and I nearly vomited at the sight.
We were all together
Ugh.
at the time, of course, in an orgy of flesh that has barely been known since octopus began having sex.
When you embrace a lover.
Shinshi, tentacle to the mouth.
Fuck me, I'm so sorry.
So, we're almost done, gentlemen. So the book contained a list of individuals who should succeed Ervil as the leader of the cult. He died in jail in 1981.
Good.
Irony of all fucking ironies, his brother Varlin died in a car crash in Mexico several days later.
Bullshit.
Not bullshit.
Fuck.
He's not me, John. He wouldn't write something that's like super. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
Before you start
You're right.
apologizing
Shane
for
is good
me,
at this.
wait till you get to the end, and then you may want to litigate this with me afterwards.
there wasn't a third brother.
There was a third brother. I just find it funny. He spent his whole life trying to kill him. He dies, and the brother dies in a fucking car accident.
One might argue an act of God.
Exactly. So the good father didn't quite manage to pull it off. So, this was where I was planning on ending this, because that basically completes Ervil's life. But now we get to see the ongoing episodes of the Young Indiana cult, because this nonsense keeps getting nuttier. So, Ervil's book named his eldest son Arturo as his immediate successor. Arturo was another of Delphina, his first wife. It's one of her kids. So under Arturo, the cult openly embraced the criminal enterprises that they had previously dabbled in, because murder wasn't enough. Let's do other things. So auto theft is specifically what they specialize in.
Oh my god, that's
So
amazing.
this is now Grand Theft Auto, the Mormon cult version.
No, I'm thinking of Gone in 60 Seconds. Like Arturo is Nick Cage in this.
Did you say God in
this
60
shit.
seconds?
Gone.
No, because it should be God in 60
Gone.
seconds.
I think that.
God in
I
60
think that's.
seconds. Okay,
I think
you know what?
the
That's
episode
fine.
Title. God in 60
Oh.
seconds.
God, I can only hope.
It has to be. Did you get inspired
Shit.
to research this from all your Grand Theft Auto playing?
No,
Because
though I have
s-
been playing Grand Theft Auto.
I saw. I thought of it now because you said that, because of the activity notification on PlayStation Network is still as funny as the first time I've said it on here.
And
which is-
many other missions.
Yeah, Shane Hunt is completing many missions.
The fun thing is, I got so caught up in being didactic and talking about my personal political beliefs now that I missed saying I have finally been won over to the Call of Duty world, my friend.
Excuse me?
Call of Duty World War II was one of the free games on PlayStation Plus this year.
It was.
So I
yes.
downloaded it and began to play it, and I can see what all the fuss is about, John. And in particular, did you know, have you played the World War II one?
No. I'll go
That
download
is-
it, though, because I was
Dude.
really interested.
We need to do this, because the sub-game is Nazi zombies.
Oh, you never
Oh,
heard of
yeah.
Nazi Zombies?
Oh, I'd heard of it. I just never played it. Do you want to know who they cast as the characters that you control?
You get a bunch of
There are
George A.
4.
Romero characters in there, don't you?
Oh,
get,
really? No, these 4, the 4 that come with the game, just the standard operating edition. One is Ving Rhames.
Oh, goody.
The other is David Tennant.
Seriously?
What?
And it's David Tennant, full Scottish accent, telling people like, "Come on, you stupid motherfuckers!" Like it
Okay,
is
so
like
I think-
hearing the Doctor condemning Nazi zombies to death. It is the greatest thing I've ever encountered.
Okay, let's try and get a commitment on air here, and then we can let you conclude.
Okay.
The
No,
Christ,
we'll talk about
Well,
that
yes,
during
we'll
the,
get to that when it's interesting.
the three
yes,
Christ
yes,
Mafia.
Yes.
I feel like Michael and I should download World War II since it is the free game this month, and that as Disinformed, we should go ahead and play some Nazi zombies together.
I'm telling you, it has changed my entire life. It also has the actress who played Elektra in the Netflix Daredevil series. She is another one of the playable characters as well.
And hey, if we have enough fun with it, you could even open it up to a Twitch stream and have 4 people watch.
We can all start killing the Nazi zombies together. For cents on the dollar. Anywho, sorry, but I completely spaced off bringing that up earlier. But
it's
yeah,
on
you and I are
brand for
going to
us
have a
to
lot
get
of
off
fun.
topic. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
under Arturo, of course, they started Grand Theft Auto LDS edition. And so Ervil's wife, Lorna Chenoweth, became disillusioned and decided to leave the cult on Arturo's orders. She was killed by her own son. So this is how depraved we are getting.
So it is
this
Sons of
continues.
Anarchy.
Basically, yes. Another one of his followers claimed to have been given authority to lead the church. So then he, rather than arguing for months, they essentially met to resolve their differences. They said, "Hey, listen, let's go about this like men." In that meeting, Arturo was assassinated. So now Ervil's son, who was leading the church, was killed by the other upstart gentleman. And so there were a lot of adherents to the group that drifted away after this, and even during his reign, people started to kind of fall off, and basically hoved them down to the core group of sort of Ervil's wives and their children, and all the subsequent kind of families. So it's basically Red State. For those who have seen
I
it,
need
that's
to
what it
rewatch
reminds me of.
yeah.
It's very evocative of this kind of compound that they've created. So after Arturo is killed, they pass the leadership on to the next son on Ervil's list from his handy-dandy pamphlet of Succession of the Throne, who is Heber, who happened to be 20 at the time. And so the cult was, composed primarily of living wives, children, and stepchildren of Ervil LeBaron. You were saying?
Oh, I was going to say, it's kind of like if Guyana didn't come to such a tragic and brutal end, and Jonestown would just still be around. That sounds like what would be happening there.
Yes, it's just kind of that, or akin to the way that we envisioned the Nazi party continuing on after Hitler's death. If you're a fan of The Man in the High Castle, basically it's just all the individuals in power of the different groups start sort of, quaffling over who has the better claim to the power after the Führer is gone. So Heber revived the blood atonement policy, like you do. He's like, hey, listen, we haven't been killing people enough. We need to get back on this.
Really slackened morale around here.
And akin to Michael Corleone, began to take out everybody he held responsible for Arturo being assassinated. So he started to wage gang warfare. They killed Gamalia and Raul Rios. Their 2 sisters that had been married to Ervil previously were also made to disappear. He accused any women who knew about Arturo's murder in advance, and then cult members would subsequently kill them, or at least this is what authorities think. So there's just any number of people. We delve into chaos. This all goes nuts. Everybody starts being killed. He, to gain favor, he married 2 women from Guatemala to add him into his running tally of wives. And then he married several of his half-sisters and stepsisters. So this is where we start. Yes, this is where we start getting into
Michael's
the Game
been
of
waiting
Thrones.
for this entire time.
And
Tide.
further, to gain favor
Roll Tide.
from Mexican politicians and get cover for their criminal enterprises, he starts pimping out his sisters and wives to politicians and heads of state. So,
All right.
in 1987, the group ostensibly split in 2. A bunch of the adults, basically anyone who was grown and of functioning age, they all went to Texas so that they could start up an auto theft syndicate. And they left one person in charge of all the children down in Mexico. That person then went to someone seeking asylum with all the children, saying, listen, the kids are innocents. We need to try to take care of them, so can you please just take me in? And the person's like, listen, y'all have a lot of really sketchy nonsense happening with you, and I'm not sure that I trust you, but these are children, and I have difficulties turning them away, and so, of course, I'm gonna bring you in. And a few weeks later, This person killed both the individual that let them into their home and give them asylum and their wife. And basically, or no, he didn't kill the wife. He was holding the wife and all their family hostage, saying that he didn't trust them and that they were not. Yes, that they were basically apostates as well. And so he pulled a gun on the wives and children, telling them he had been given a revelation giving him authority over the family.
Right.
So he's like, now I'm the leader, and I'm here with all these children, so you will now submit to me. I was given authority over you.
Yeah, that's how that works. Yeah, I checked.
Mom said I can be a leader of your household.
And so on June 27th of 1988, the cult targeted 3 names that were prominent on Ervil LeBaron's Blood Atonement list. Within the span of a few minutes of around 4 p.m., cult members killed 4 people in 3 different locations in Texas. So yes, this is basically
Walter
turning
White
into
hit.
So Walter, it's Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy, anything you want to run with. Ed Marston, Ervil's stepson, was killed in Irving by another stepson, Douglas Barlow. Heber, the leader of the current cult, accompanied by his half-sister and wife Patricia, shot Mark Chenoweth at his appliance repair shop in northern Houston. Another brother, Richard, killed Dwayne Chenoweth and his 8-year-old daughter Jennifer after luring them to an empty house on Rena Street in Houston. A few weeks later, Heber and his 4 siblings were arrested in Arizona for auto theft.
Woo! Arizona
We're
reference.
#1
Yes.
in COVID cases.
That's a sticker we're all looking forward to. By the way, your stuff on Instagram killed me today, John. I appreciated all of your Ducey diary entries and nonsense.
I've tried to keep the hate alive.
Yes, and you've done marvelously.
Thank you.
Shortly after, Aaron and 2 others were arrested in Chicago and charged with having falsified documents to prove who they were. Richard eventually pled guilty to his role in the so-called, or appropriately dubbed, 4 o'clock murders and agreed to testify against his siblings. Heber, Patricia, and Douglas Barlow were all convicted. Aaron LeBaron, that's just a fun name.
Aaron LeBaron
and their sister Jacqueline Tarsa LeBaron were indicted for helping plan the murders but could not be found. And the plot stiffens. 6 of the younger children, aged 12 to 18, were placed in separate foster homes in Utah. So these are the kids who were essentially abandoned in Mexico after the caretaker went crazy. So they take all of them up to Utah, place them in foster care. Authorities had hoped that by separating them and showing them a normal life, the children could be deprogrammed and end the cycle of violence. As you would expect.
Yeah, spoiler alert. It didn't work.
All of the children disappeared from their foster homes on a single night at the end of September in 1989.
Jesus. This is
Indeed.
this is not amazing, but it's amazing.
It is a riveting story. It is depraved in all the worst ways and, of course, hits all of our naughty buttons. But, I mean, like, just the depth of depravity and also how ludicrous all of this sounds. So that is where I decided to stop. Because, as I said, I have seen things that kind of intersperse up until now because the compounds still exist in Chihuahua. You can still, basically run into these folks. So there is at least some sort of cell going on. And as far as I'm aware, I didn't research further. Of course, we can. But go and do on your own, because this is what I felt was reasonable to cover in a bite-sized sort of presentation for the episode.
I'm waiting for that HBO season 1 to drop any day now.
Yeah, and I mean, down the road, if you want to do an update, feel free.
It would be interesting to follow up on.
Yeah.
Now that you have strung this web, what the fuck was the lie?
Are you ready? Michael's already shaking his head.
Yeah,
so.
just fucking give it to me. My body's ready.
John, you called your shot on this probably, maybe 10, 15 episodes back when you gave me an overt bit of praise. And I'm going to finally live up to this. The only lie is that there was a lie.
I hate you.
Fucking hell, no.
Or I was going to joke and say God is a lie, so that counts.
Okay, I accept it.
But I've decided that, instead, I just wanted to tell you this story. And
I love it.
I could not make anything up that would have fit better in this. Like, I could have tried, and it would have been no less ludicrous than any of this. Like, the kids all disappearing in one night. To me, I thought would have been like, if I was listening, that would have been the lie I clamped down on. So I was like, if that isn't made up, then I don't know what the hell I'm going to do here. So there you are.
Yeah, that's incredible. like in a disgusting way.
45 episodes. 45 episodes, and we have our first. The lie was that there was a lie.
Yes, the lie was the lie. I think, and
broken the seal. Pop
if
the
you
cherry.
guys want to ban that, we can basically. It was just for fun, and it's all for giggles. We're
No,
not
it's
scoring
fine.
here,
It's
but
fine.
I mean,
As long as every
it's
presentation doesn't have a no lie thing, you know.
yes.
In which case, then you just turn into a true crime comedy podcast, you know.
Yes. This one basically was unique enough that I felt it warranted me giving it the honor of being the first one that pops out.
That's fair. No, I agree. I mean, the fact that we went 45 episodes before we actually like had that whole drop.
Yeah. Now, I
like
was
it.
gonna sort of run into another direction here, but I feel like in light of the current circumstances, this may be incredibly tone deaf. Do you want to get into an installment of Fuck, Marry, Kill?
Oh no.
We do that after the reading, right? Right?
I mean, we can do it before. I kind of.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's do it.
You want
Let's
to tell
do it.
people
Let's do
that
it
you
now.
have a format that we're trying to keep accountable to?
I mean, it's not really anything that I figure we have to declare. I just,
we don't.
We've decided Fuck,
If you
Marry, Kill is
understand-
fun for us, and as long as we have the caveat that you can't say that you have to adhere, you have to do one to at least each of these
You
You
individuals.
can't just say I fuck them all and kill myself. Yeah.
Exactly.
myself,
Yes,
yeah.
it's important to clarify. So, gentlemen, since I think John kind of got the pick last time, I'm going to let it be. We'll give it a Michael turn this time. So you've got Killer Edition, Monster Edition, Dictator Edition, Presidential Edition, Wizard Edition, Witch Edition, Jedi Edition, Archie Edition, Comics Edition, and Music Edition for the time being.
No, I think I chose it. I've done chose it.
I think John was very
think I
vociferous
chose
in
them
saying
last
the Jedi Edition, so maybe you both just came to that as an accord.
Well, how about we agree
Yes.
on that? Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
So
sure.
call a shot, gents. Who wants to do what?
I'll say Dictator.
All
Why
right,
not?
Dictator Edition. It is, gentlemen. Submitted for your approval on the Fuck, Marry, Kill scale. Dictator Edition. Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, and Kim Jong-il.
Oh, man,
it's
this-
gonna
why
take
is
a
this so
while.
difficult?
I would
Listen, I'll start, and then we'll give us a
Sure,
little
Yeah,
sure,
you
sure,
go
sure,
for
sure,
it.
sure.
You go for it.
Obviously, I've thought about this. Hitler, if we've proven nothing over the course of the entire thing, is that he basically waged a war to try to compensate for his own sexual inadequacy. So if I don't kill Hitler, I have basically just lost the plot for this entire thing. Because that a man with a mustache that was that uneven, do you really believe he's going to be competent in bed? Do you think he's going to give you any sort of sustainable relationship? I mean, he killed himself, so he's not reliable as someone you want to lay down a foundation with. So I'm going to have to go with I'm killing Hitler. I think that I could get away with fucking Stalin. And let me tell you why. Is because there's very few things that you can do over the course of a cold Russian winter other than, snuggle up inside of some warm abode and get down. And Stalin, to me, it looks like a man who's able to satisfy you. Like a Snickers bar.
Oh, I'm letting you finish.
All right, well, I appreciate that. I was hoping we'd get a stronger... It's colder than the Russian front by the responses thus far. So
I appreciate
obviously,
that you decided to bear down in Russia.
I appreciate that as well. And also, I mean, if I'm married to Stalin, I'm going to be dragged through the streets by my feet and hung up for, folks to sort of like kill me at some point. So that's Mussolini. Sorry. Stalin met no less onerous end. And granted.
Well, you would just disappear.
Yes.
So that was kind of my rationale.
I mean, I could have met Nostradamus over the time.
Are we all on the
out.
same page here? I have a feeling that we're not. Okay.
Well, we'll see. But to finish, Kim Jong-il is the Mary because, of course, the man is still in power and is still lording it. Well, his son is. So, I mean, you could have still just held sway over an entire country for a good long chunk of time and have no one who was willing to screw with you.
Yeah, I as you're going through, I agree with your picks entirely. They're all mine as well. I mean, with Hitler, I mean, it's acceptable to kill Nazis and fascists.
We plan on doing so with, a reckless abandon in electronic form soon.
Yeah. Stalin, I just think, just being manhandled by a big burly Russian sounds pretty appealing. Just getting my insides turned around. I'd be bottom on that one. And then on the other front, being married, you'd be fed so well. You'd get all the food. Like you'd never want for anything.
Mm-hmm.
You would be everything. Maybe.
I mean, you just want Stalin to fill you in like the Communist Manifesto.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I would say I actually would change it a little bit, just kind of for shits and giggles, but kind of going off the same angle. I would marry Hitler because if he's already unstable and he offs himself,
You're trying to do like
I would just
what is it that blonde gal that married
Hilda Braun.
No, the blonde gal that married the really old
no.
guy because she knew he was going to be gone soon. It was Anna.
Anna
Nicole.
Nicole
he would
Smith.
He would be my sugar daddy. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I would inherit all that.
Let's remind you, though, Hitler's lover was dead in a bunker with him by the end of that war. So just...
I would be off doing my own thing, being like, I'm going to go get some smokes.
I'm Michael.
Yeah.
So Michael's essentially saying the boots, the leather, and the dancing are all very intriguing to him. And we want to make sure that we get that.
But I would kill Stalin because even if you just fucked him, I feel like he would just want that to be secret. And so you would disappear.
You don't want to be a secret lover. You want to be loud. You want to be out.
Well, the proletariat
Yeah,
can't
I don't
abide
think
it.
he would appreciate that. Because he would probably see you as a liability.
Not if I did it right.
Yeah, you're gonna fuck the liability right out of that, Michael.
I mean, look how long he kept
confident.
Nostradamus around, for God's sakes.
Be confident in your dick giving game.
I'm kidding. It's Rasputin.
It's okay.
I knew you were talking about Rasputin. I just didn't want to acknowledge it, considering that.
I was trying to make it fun. God damn it.
No, this isn't. This is serious. This is a serious podcast.
I kind of look like Rasputin. I think.
All right, and now you're about to have sex with a Korean man. So tell us why.
Yeah, I feel like you would treat me well
for one night.
Yeah, that's fine.
How would he treat you right?
That. That's where I would be when Hitler offs himself.
He's trying to make up for the fact that he impugned them earlier in the episode.
Would you be top or bottom?
Whatever he wants. I wouldn't mind. I would give him what he feels.
What do you think he'd want?
I don't know.
I'd give him what he feels. Michael's pull quote.
Top? You know what? I would agree with you. I was trying to lead you into saying that you would be a bottom. He definitely would be a top because he fucking hates America. Like he would want to fuck anything American.
I don't see the connection between hating America and being a top.
You're American,
I
Michael.
Really
He'd want to dominate you like the little bitch you are.
Oh, okay. All I hear is hates America equals top. And I'm like, I don't see the connection between there.
I just feel like we are probably like 20 minutes away from going into a crude reenactment of Team America.
We already had one earlier in this episode, so I mean.
Well, it's only because he's so insensitive.
Indeed.
Coming along to save the motherfucking day. Anyway, speaking of terrible sex with
I don't want to talk about your
people.
relationship again.
By the way, Michael says "fuck King Jong-il" is going to be our new headline for next week's episode, just in case anyone's curious. So when Michael disappears, just be aware.
It wasn't the Christ Mafia.
It was not. It was not at all.
It was international.
Well,
I feel like he would be a great lover. I'll just say that.
I'll be good to you. I'll be a good wife.
I'll be good to you.
Treat me like I'm South Korea.
Why did
Come
you
on,
talk
do
like
it.
you were Seinfeld for a second there?
I don't know. That was a stroke. I'm transitioning to being very terrible voice
actually,
actor.
you're transitioning to being human, I'm afraid. I think.
You were
all
trying.
right, so are we ready?
I'm a
you were
real
trying
boy.
to have a Jason Segel.
I think he's a real doll, actually. But are you ready for this nonsense, Jens?
I've been ready since the day I was born.
Are we doing this?
I think we should. Unless you got to call for your weekly pee break here, Tiny Bladder.
Yeah, you gotta take a break.
I'm good. I didn't open up a second drink. I've been trying not to hit the water super hard.
You paced yourself, and I appreciate that.
I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying. I pissed 4 times at work yesterday on my 6-hour shift.
We're all
And only 2 of those were on customers.
Hey. Yes.
Actually,
Well, they asked first. They
listen,
got permission,
John's
so
on
it's all
tap.
good.
We've always said this.
The customers from Louisiana, I wasn't doing anything they weren't already used to.
And the froth is okay. His dick hasn't fallen off yet, so you just be fine with that. It's got a big head on it.
Yeah, I've had
There's plenty of... Oh, damn it.
I've had warts my entire life. At
beat
one
me to
point,
it.
they're all wrapped around the tip of my penis and made it impossible to urinate.
What?
Sorry.
Your poor wife.
And I'm Michael.
All right, so previously on My Immortal. Chapter 18 offered up, as always, in excruciating detail, description of every fucking outfit that Ebony adopted, the sort of broom that she rode, both the cleaning and Malfoy varieties, and we discovered that Dumbledore had redecorated the Hall of Greats in a Gothic motif, but still dressed the place up with posters of poser bands to attempt to ruin the aesthetic and prove that Dumbledore is somewhat tone-deaf to the movement. A debate broke out amongst the students as to who was the hottest rock star, consisting of the usual suspects from MCR, Green Day, and Good Charlotte. Dumbledore then steps up to the table to address and discuss his newly adopted Gothic bend, and the students then speculate whether he is having a midlife crisis or just going plumb crazy before he ambles off, and they all go to class. Draco and Ebony go to class holding hands, much to the jealous ire of Vampire Potter, though I can't say why he's jealous. Which one does he want to be with? Does he want to be with both of them at once? Does he want to kill both of them and eat them? No one knows. And then we cut to Chapter 19, which gifted us the glory of I'm Nut Okay.
I promise.
Yet another fabled fucking MCR concert, because we haven't had enough of those here. Draco and Ebony have the most ridiculous argument in the whole of human history regarding whether which one of them is more misunderstood. Yes, that is actually the fucking plot here, ladies and germaphobes.
And in the words of a band that I don't particularly like, no one can suffer like I can.
And how. This results in our delicate flower of a protagonist fleeing to the ladies, as always, only to receive a fucking shook from hairnets and dumb fool door as they apparate into the bathroom. The headmaster is in crisis to get fashion tips for the concert, promising Ebony that Draco has a surprise for her. Spoiler, it is not a more linear or engaging plot for this composition. Chapter 20 gives us a more outfit illustration with ladder minis and compact boots for all. Lupin interrupts Ebony's dressing to ask for condoms, which she denies him, and so he subsequently engages in unprotected sex with Snape in the hallway while a tortured cuck Dobby looks on.
Just a vicious amount of butt fucking.
Ebony discovers them, Dobby flees weeping, and while the teachers attempt to reclaim their decency, Ebony photographs them in flagrante to provide herself with blackmail fodder. Vampire then arrives and tells Ebony that Draco refuses to attend the MCR concert, and rather than being concerned for Draco's well-being like any good human being would, Ebony agrees to go to the show with Vampire instead, doesn't give 2 fucks, doesn't even mention it.
Well, she's a vampire. She's not a human being anymore.
Yeah, she doesn't have feelings.
How gothic. So, she's also immensely aroused, immeasurably so, that it looked like, Louisiana in the late aughts, basically by seeing a black flying car with a misspelling of her fucking name on the vanity plate, and she begins to aggressively make out with Vampire at the concert, and after hearing some sobbing behind them, turns to discover that Draco has arrived after all, and has seen them together. Now, plot thickens here. We didn't discuss this as it was happening, but do you think that, Vampire tricked her by saying Draco didn't want to go, or that Draco is suspicious that she's interested in Vampire, and so he says he's not coming, so, he can see the 2 of them in the act? All this curious. None of this is actually included in the plot, because this satire can't even have something that resembles an interesting plot point. It just leaves it dangling in the wind like a Chad in the 2000 election.
Or like Blake Crouch.
Indeed. Chapter 21. in summation, has everyone returning to the school post-concert. No commentary on any of the things that have just happened, or the slightest depiction of the resulting scrum, leading us to believe that Draco just stood stolidly in the corner for the entirety of the show while Vampire and Ebony either awkwardly distanced themselves and pretended they weren't together, or aggressively made out. Because it didn't say he ran off, didn't say he cried, didn't say he did anything. He's just sitting there crying in the corner going...
I like to think that they just made out with him.
That would be
like,
reasonable.
Just sobbing.
Upon seeing Draco at school, once they get back, Ebony asks if he's all right. He indicates rather strongly that she should inseminate herself with a rusty fishing knife. And then he defies physics by running, and I quote, in a suicidal way.
Despite all his rage.
Son of a... Ebony then infers that he plans to self-harm, as is often the case in the course of this story. Vampire offers to salve Draco's wounds, which enrages her, of course, because she thinks he's just gonna go fuck him. And so they both go chase after Draco together. They are caught by Filch, who is named in the story as Mr. Norris. Subsequently, Vampire and Ebony hide from him beneath the invisibility cloak,
which is black,
and yell epithets at him until they are discovered by Filch, the cat, as named in the story appropriately. The dynamic duo discovers Draco cutting his wrists outside of the school, to which Ebony simply fucking asks, "Are you okay?" He profoundly responds, "He guesses, though." And then Draco and Ebony make out back into the school and go back to their coffins.
After watching
no harm, no foul. This fucking story makes me want to drive spikes into my eyeballs. It's my eyeballs. Ebony is then, as they are laying in the coffin, stricken with the sight of Fugue and the magical mystery tour as they stroll into Hogwarts to conclude the chapter on a cliffhanger. Have I left anything out that is important or
To be honest, the moment that we end
That was
roll
beautiful.
on this, I forget everything that we talk about.
Yes, it is a blissful state of amnesia that we have to do in order to live through telling this story.
So it's almost like being beaten over the head by dumbness every single time we begin.
Dumbness door.
But, again, only one of us has done professional voice acting.
And birds aren't real.
Birds are not real, and I will...
Birds are a lie.
I appreciate that you keep initiating it, Shane.
I will
John's
have
like,
a shirt
oh, yeah, the
to
birds.
inform-
They're not real, yeah.
all these snowflakes that birds are not real. That's why this is happening in our country with 5G. The birds had to get recharged, so they created coronavirus to be spread through 5G. Anyway, that's a whole different fanfic that we'll read later.
Hey, John.
That's next week's
Make
topic.
America molt again. That's what we're trying to
Fantastic.
drive for. And also, I am going to hold on to the fact that at some point in one of my presentations, my lie is going to be birds.
I can
And I'm
promise
just
you
gonna
I
hit
won't
you with that.
remember, but I'll be
All
impressed
right.
and
Well,
appreciate it.
If you boys are ready,
I'm ready.
Same.
let's present My Immortal, as read by the Disinformed Podcast Cast.
Cassidy.
Castcade Cast. Chapter 22. All day, everyone talked about the misery of magic. Well, anyway, I woke up the next day. I was in my coffin, so I opened the door. I was wearing lacy leather pajamas. Then I gasped. Standing in front of me where Bloody Mary, Vampire, Diabolo, Draco, Dracula, and Willow. I opened my crimson eyes. Willow was wearing a tight black leather top with pictures of bloody roses all over it. Under that, she wore a black poofy skirt with lace on it and black gothic boots that was attached to the top. Vampire was wearing a baggy Simple Plan t-shirt and baggy black pants and Vans. Draco was wearing a black MCR t-shirt and black jeans, and a leather jacket. He looked just likey Gerard Way and almost as fucking sexy. Vampire looked like Joel Madden. Bloody Mary was wearing a tight black poofy gothic dress that she had ripped so it showed of all her clearage, with a white apron that said Bic and another swear words and MCR lyrics on it, kind of like one dress I had seen Amy Lee wear once. Darkness, who is Jenny, so Mike is noting for us he doesn't know who the hell
I
Jenny
don't know who
is,
Jenny
but,
is.
Oh, Ginny Weasley.
Oh, holy shit. That honestly is like giving me a whole new lease on life now that I understand who this Jenny is.
Okay.
Oh,
Always happy
my
to reveal
God.
these things for you.
Shall we? Do you want to take it back from one?
Yeah.
Let's do. Darkness was there too. She was weaving a ripped gothic black dress. Sorry, I just can't. It becomes like a freaking like field of landmines to try to get through this and not scoff at all of the misspellings. And it is genius. If this was something that was actually concocted by somebody just to poke fun at people who post fan fiction on the internet, I will heartily endorse it because
Shane
these
has the
misspellings
hardest
are
job.
painful.
Yeah. Shane definitely has the hardest
Yep.
job as a narrator. The hardest job that we have isn't even like grammatical errors or misspellings. It's coming up with stupid
And
voices.
that's mainly you.
But
I have
Shane,
it easy.
Yeah, you just talk normally.
Oh!
Shane.
All right, so we're starting from. I'm taking it to one. I'm going to get through this,
Yep.
and Darkness was there too. She was weaving a ripped gothic black dress with ripped stuff all over it and a lace-up top thing and black pointy boots. So were Crab and Goyle. It turns out that Darkness, Diabolo, Crab and Goyle's dad, was a vampire. He committed suicide by slitting his wrists with a razor. He had, censor the word, them and stuff before too. He rapped them, okay, on the head with something. They all got so depressed that they became gothic and converted to Stanism.
OMFG!
I yielded as I jumped up.
Why the fuck are you all here?
I know, but something is really fucked up.
Draco said.
Okay, but I need to put on my fucking clothes first.
I shouted angrily.
It's alright. We have to go now, and you look kawaii anyway. You're so fucking beautiful.
Draco said in a sexy voice.
Oh, alright.
I said, smiling.
But you have to tell me why you're being all erective.
I will.
Draco said. So I just put on some black eyeliner, black lipstick, and red eyeshadow, and white foundation. Then I came. We all went outside the Great Hall and looked in from a window. A fucking prep called Brittany from Gryffindor was standing next to us. She was wearing a pink mini and a Hilary Duff t-shirt, so we put up our middle fingers at her. Inside the Great Hall, we could see Dumbledore. Cornelia Fudged was there shouting at Dumbledore. Doris Rumbridge was there too.
This cannot be! The school must be closed!
Doris shouted angrily. The Bark Lord is planning to kill all the students, yelled Cornelia Fudge.
You are not fit to be the principal any longer!
Yelled Rumbridge.
You are too old and your Alzheimer's is dangerous! You must retry or Voldemort will kill your students!
Very well.
Dumbledore said angrily.
But we cannot do this. We can't close the school. There's only one person who is capable of killing Voldemort, and she is in the school, and her name is Inani Darnas Dementia Ravenway.
Draco, Crab, Goyle, Darkness, Willow, Vampire, and Bloody Mary looked at each other. I gasped. End of chapter 22. Thank you for Inani, because that was spot perfect, and
That was good,
I
yeah.
lost my shit for a second.
All right, so I have 18 characters to voice in this one, so
Well done.
Good
And
luck.
I've decided that since we've changed this from being British and all of a sudden John started introducing a wealth of Southern characters, Foghorn Leghorn as Cornelius Fudge, of course, is the perfect way to go. So,
Shane, do you
Yeah.
want to take? Do you want to swap Bloody Mary? Do you want Bloody in this next one?
I mean, so that it's intelligible.
Yes.
Yes,
do
I
that.
can take a B Letty for this run. Yes, I'm happy to.
Thank you very much.
I'll
Yes.
just give it to you from here on out, so I will edit it so that
All right.
whenever you're,
Godspeed.
Thank you.
have
We'll
fun.
see how well that pig squeals when it's under the gate.
That was good. I'm gonna have to clip that.
Let's go Leatherface style on this one.
that should be the censor.
He was gonna. Oh, that's
right.
actually. Ooh,
Guys,
ooh.
let's go, please.
He's gonna have to pee soon.
You're not lying.
Chapter 23. The door opened, and Professor Rumbridge and Cornelia Fudge stomped out angrily. Then Dumbledum and Rumbridge sawed us.
Mr. Way, what the bleep are you doing?
Rumbridge shouted angrily. Dumbledore blared at her.
Oops, she made a mistake.
Dumbledore corrupted her.
She means hi. Everybody come in.
Well, we all came in. Angrily. So did all the other students. I sat between Darkness and Draco. And opposite Bloody Mary. Crabbe and Goyle started to make some morbid jokes. They both looked exactly like Vile Volo. I ate some Count Chocula and drank some blood from a cup. Then I heard somebody shooting angrily. I looked behind me. It was Vampire. He and Draco were shooting at each other.
Vampire Draco, WTF?
I asked.
You freaking bastard.
I yelled Draco at Vampire.
I want to sit next to her. One. No, I do.
Shouted.
No, she doesn't fucking like you, son of a bitch.
Yelled Draco.
No, fuck you, motherfucker. She laves me, not you.
Shouted Vampire. And then he jumped on Draco. Not in that way, you perv. They started to fight and beat up each other. Dumbledore yelled at them, but they didn't stop. All of a sudden, a terrible man with red eyes and no nose flew in on his broomstick. He had no nose and was wearing a gray robe. All the glass in the window he flew through fell apart. Brittany, that fucking prep, started to cry. Vampire and Draco stopped fighting. I stopped eating. Everyone gasped. Da room fell silent. Voldemort.
Bobby. Ebony.
Darth Vader said evilly in his raspy voice.
Thou have failed your mission. Now I shall kill thou, and I shall kill Vampire as well. If thou does not kill him before then, I shall kill Draco too.
Pills, don't make me kill him, Pills.
I begged.
No,
He laughed crudely.
kill him or I shall kill him anyway.
Then he flew away, cackling. I bust into tears. Draco and Vampire came to contort me. Suddenly, my eyes rolled up so they looked all cool and gothic. I had a vision where I saw some lightning flash and then Voldemort coming to kill Draco while Draco slit his wrists in a depressed way.
No.
I screamed sexily. Suddenly, I locked up and stopped having the vision.
Ebony, are you all right?
Asked Draco in a worried voice.
Yeah.
I said sadly as I got up.
Everything's all right, Anobi.
Said Vampire, all sensitive.
No, it's not.
I shouted angrily. Tears of blood went down my face.
OMFG, what if I'm getting possessed like in the Ring 2?
That's okay, girl, said Bloody Mary. Maybe you should ask Professor Sinister about what divisions mean, though.
Okay, Bish.
I said sadly, and then we went. Well,
Oh, I was just gonna let you keep rolling it because we're hitting our cliffhanger chapter.
all
What?
right.
No. We read chapter 22 to 24.
That's what I
as in
said. We're hitting 224.
Oh, okay.
He was prompting me along. He wants me to
Gotcha.
continue
Yeah, I
reading,
really
so
like
now,
it.
You don't
There's a
wanna
good
talk
flow,
about
and you
Darth
fucked up
Vader?
the whole flow.
You don't want to talk about Darth Vader?
I mean, yeah, sure. Let's talk about Darth Vader.
I mean, I feel like that should lend credits to the whole, like, she's a troll.
You'd think either, but I mean also that this could just be a dumb troll. Let's point this
I
out
didn't
as
say
well.
anything about her intelligence. I just said it's a troll.
Okay, that's reasonable. I will go with you on that. Yeah, this does not strike me as someone writing this out because they legitimately believed this was the appropriate telling of the
Right.
Tales of Hogwarts.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chapter 24. Well, we had deviation next, so I got to ask Professor Trevolry about the vision. Fuck my life.
Say however you think, because she's going to be calling Professor Sinister that character name. A little backstory. I think Professor Sinister is a combination of two separate professors within the
Okay.
actual canon. So just try it.
So it's Trelawney, but we're going with a
Trevelry?
usual. Yeah.
Trelawney, and then also I think another one of the
Jesus
professors.
Christ.
I can't remember.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Chapter 24. Well, we had deviation next, so I got to ask Professor Trevelry about the visions.
Konnichiwa, everybody, come in.
Said Professor Sinister in Japanese. She smelled at me with her gothic black lipstick. She's the coolest fucking teacher ever. She had long, dead black hair with blood-red tips and red eyes. Her mom was a vampire. She's also half Japanese, so she speaks it and everything. She and Bloody Murder get along great. She's really young for a teacher. Today, she was wearing a black leather top with red lace and a long, gothic, black ripped dress. We went inside the black classroom with pastors of Emily the Strong. I raised my hand. I was wearing some black nail polish with red pentagrams on it.
What is it, Anabi?
She asked.
Hey, I love your nail polish. Where'd you get it? Hot topic?
Yeah.
I answered. All the preps who didn't know what HT was gave me weird looks. I gave them the middle finger.
Well, I have to talk to you about some things. When do you want to do it?
How about now?
She asked.
Okay.
I said.
Okay, class fucking dismissed, everyone.
Professor Trevolry said, and she let everyone go.
Except for you, Brittany.
She pointed at Brittany and some other preps.
Please do exercise. Get it? 1 on page 3.
Okay, I'm having lots of visions.
I said in a worried voice. I'm so worried. Is Draco going to die? Well, she gave me a black cryptal ball to lock in. I looked at it.
What do you see?
She asked.
I said I see a black gothic skull and a pentagram.
Suddenly there was a knock at the door. I looked at it. It was Draco. He was looking really sexy, wearing a black leather facet, a black gothic Linkin Park t-shirt, and a black Congress shoes.
Okay, you can go now. See ya, cunt.
Said Professor Sinister.
Bye, bitch.
I said, waving. I went to Draco, and Vampire was sitting next to him. We both followed Draco together, and I was so exhibited.
That is probably the best voice that you can give Professor Sinister, considering that she becomes like kind of a major character.
This is
And-
John doing the inability to control the modulation or volume of his voice.
And I'm just like, because she's supposed to be that kawaii teacher, the cool teacher, and you just said deadpan. I'm like, this is going to be great. Okay, you can go now. Okay, you can go now. See ya, cunt. It was fucking great.
If I had talent, I would turn Professor Sinister into Dr. Girlfriend.
I don't get the reference.
Oh,
I actually probably could if I tried and I put effort.
Yes, I would say give it a whirl.
Okay, I guess you can go now. See ya, cunt.
Perfect. Oh my god, Ebony, where did you get that at Black Hot Topic?
Oh yeah, you saw that at Hot Topic. What did you see? Except for you, Brittany. Do exercise 3.
Your boobs are so beautiful.
Oh, you're done. You're done. See ya, cunt.
You're done.
Okay.
If I remember,
please.
I don't know. Maybe she has like a character.
Note to yourself.
Yeah, maybe if she has a character-defining moment.
Don't worry.
You know,
I got it.
And hey, I mean, I
it.
hope you don't edit any of that out because that was more cunts per capita than we have in Arizona.
Oh,
so.
No, I like it. I like it. I'm done editing. I'm done censoring the cunt.
You've given in to the cunt?
Yes. I think it was after the first time, or no, it was the last time. I think it was you, Shane, that was like, cuntity cunt. And I'm like, fuck it.
And that's all that it took. Then I wish we would have done it way sooner.
I mean, it was a fun gag, but we're in trying times. We don't have time for, such frivolousness.
I feel like a cunt's been lifted off my chest.
To steal from another particular British idiom, there's a war on, so make with the cunt.
And I think with that, we've officially said that word more than I've said it in probably a month.
Indeed.
I've said that more than I have since we started this podcast.
So we have officially hit our cunt quota.
The cunt in place has been lifted.
Well, I think it's cuntentine is actually what you were trying to go for there,
okay,
Michael.
yeah, that's better.
All right, I think before John's bladder bursts and we no longer have a third host to this podcast.
I gotta do this before we do After Dark, so...
Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's much appreciated. I mean, you're normally shitty enough on your own.
I'm not gonna jack off. I'm not gonna take a shit. I just need to go pee before we do After Dark.
Well, you said you were gonna deuce.
No, I said I got to go do that before After Dark.
Oh, I thought you said you were gonna deuce. I thought we were getting.
No, I thought this was America. I thought I was allowed to pee.
I thought it was Norm Macdonald's, HR.
Somerton, please.
Is this a fade out?
Summer tits, yes. I believe that is going to wrap this up in a big hate-filled burrito, as we all too often do. Thank you all for enduring this ridiculous melange of nonsense that has been the 45th installment of the Disinformed podcast. We are immensely happy to have you as always, and guess what? I'm still not going to tell you where our socials are. You should find that out for yourself if you want to.
Yeah, be a real Sherlock Holmes about it.
Yeah, this is worthwhile ways to find things, and there's plenty there for you to find. And also, stay tuned. Every Friday, 10 a.m. on YouTube's Disinformed After Dark. We're going to have a slew of fun stuff for you, and you will have already seen what we do this week by the time you hear this glorious episode. So I hope it's fun. And I think that's going to bring it to a close for the Disinformed podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
Someone's going to go pay. I got to pay.
And it sure ain't me.
It's me.
Shot me. John's favorite line in Forrest Gump. They shot me in the buttocks. Lieutenant Dan, that's great.
All right, I'm gonna go pee now. Fuck you guys.